All right, so hi Tanya, my name's Selena. It's nice to meet you.
Me too.
So before we get started, I just wanted to talk about a couple things. So the sessions are typically going to be about 45 to 50 minutes in here. For the next 6 weeks, we'll be meeting about once a week and kind of talking about whatever you have in mind and wanting to bring up for this session. One thing that I wanted to bring to your attention is that obviously everything will be kept confidential here. And then there are just a couple things that I wanted to point out. There might be a couple instances that I would have to break confidentiality. And some of those things would include if there was a court order, obviously I would have to respect that. If I ever believed that you were going to harm yourself or any other people, I might have to get someone else involved just to make sure that everyone stays safe, obviously. And then any suspected child or elder abuse, that would have to be reported as well. But other than that, everything will be kept confidential. One thing is that I do have to record these sessions for video and audio. As far as educational purposes, I'm still, working on my master's and things like that. Are you okay with having everything recorded?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, excellent. And then also, I might have to talk with my supervisor about some of the things that we talk about. Other than that, everything is kept confidential between us two. And that's also just for supervision and educational purposes. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent. So I guess why don't we get started? What are some things that brought you in today?
I'm just overwhelmed with work. I have a lot going on, and then I just started school, so things have just been piling on together. So just really overwhelmed with everything going on and trying to balance things.
Yeah, I can understand that. Where do you work right now?
I work at Whole Health as a case manager, so I work in the community with clients in a CSP, working with people with schizophrenia, things like that.
Oh, wow. So you're working full-time and going to school as well?
Mm-hmm. Yep, full-time and going to school full-time.
Okay. What kind of classes are you taking right now?
I'm taking theories, techniques, and ethics, so the core classes.
Mm-hmm. And how has that been going with the workload and everything like that for you?
I've been managing so far. It's just, I feel like I want to have time for my friends, but I don't. I have to cancel a lot or say no to do homework. I just feel like I don't have time for myself right now.
Right, just trying to figure out the balance between all of that.
Yeah. I just, I feel bad saying no sometimes, and I've always just wanted to do that and not upset anybody, so I just have this need to hang out with people, but right now I can't, so it kind of sucks.
Yeah, I can imagine it's hard to find time to keep a social life in there, and you mentioned not wanting to let people down and things like that.
Yeah, and my husband's been a little frustrated lately. Just, he says, like, I don't really talk to him as much anymore because I just want to come home and decompress, and he works from home all day and doesn't talk to anybody, so I come home and he just wants to chat, and I come home and I just want to relax and decompress, and we're just having a hard time dealing with that right now.
Right, I can imagine that, like you said, just wanting to come home and relax a little bit and not having to worry about keeping up that conversation.
Yeah, but I don't want to let that go because I don't want to ruin a relationship because, I'm so busy with school that I don't give him that time.
Right.
I don't know, it's just hard to balance, I guess.
I can see that.
Yeah, I don't know, I feel bad and I want to fix it, but how do I don't know.
So you're kind of confused on where to devote your time for all of those things?
Yeah, I don't, I want to have time for myself, but also give him that time and not let our relationship go to the wayside.
Right.
So, it's been hard.
kind of things have you been doing lately as far as, managing time and?
Well, I usually have time set aside, so I have Wednesdays off, and then, so I usually use that day for homework, and then Fridays I do part of my night doing homework, and then, I usually give myself Friday evenings and Saturday for friends, and then Sunday is homework again. So I usually just set the time aside, and making sure that I'm finishing things before I go out, because if I go out and I don't have the homework done, then I'm just thinking about it, like I'm stressed out, like, oh, I should be home getting that done, and I feel guilty about it, like, oh, I shouldn't be hanging out with friends or seeing my family right now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And has that system been kind of working? Has it not been working?
I don't know, it's not working. I'm still feeling overwhelmed, like I'm still feeling that stress, like wishing I had more time. Like just, I don't know, just wanting more time, I guess. I don't see all my friends every weekend, and I don't see my family as much, and they really give me a hard time about it, and nobody really understands like that school and work is my priority right now.
Right.
And it's just a lot of pressure from them to, well, why don't you come over? You don't need to do your homework right now.
Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of almost feeling a little bit guilted and having more of the social aspect versus placing more of an emphasis on school.
Right. Just because like none of them have gone to college, like they don't see the importance that I do. I don't know. It's just always, well, why don't you come over? And like, why don't you spend time with us? And it was easier when I was in undergrad because I was in lacrosse, so
Okay.
I didn't have that pressure every weekend. Like I went to school up there for that reason. Like I wanted to distance myself from people, so I was keeping my priorities straight. And now it's more of I have to be more active about keeping the priorities straight. So it's been tough being back here, being close to everybody, and just being pulled so many different directions.
And you live pretty close to all your friends and family and everything like that right now?
Yeah, about 30 minutes from everybody, so like they feel like I should be hanging out with them more because I am closer.
Right.
Whereas when I was in lacrosse, I wasn't gonna drive 3 hours to see them. I mean, they still gave me pressure, like why aren't you coming down and visiting us? But now it's more regular every week. It's like, well, why aren't you coming over? And I don't know, that's been hard to balance, I guess.
Yeah, I can imagine just the pressure that they're constantly giving you every week would be kind of a lot to take on.
Yeah, especially because they don't really see the importance that I do, and that's been hard. I don't know, it's like I try and tell them, like, this will be good for me, and this is important to me, and I do want to see them, but I also would rather, like, keep my priorities and focus on school.
Right.
And I miss being in lacrosse because I could just do that and not feel guilty about it. And
It's kind of a little bit easier to create that barrier almost.
Yeah, the distance made it easier, and it was an excuse for me, like, oh, I live 3 hours away, so I can't do that.
Right.
Now it's like I feel like I have to come up with excuses when I suppose I don't really need to. Like if it's school, like that is my excuse, but I always come up with other things. Like I don't know why.
So do you feel like some of your friends might respect some of those other excuses versus school a bit more?
Yeah, just because none of them are in school. Like,
okay.
So I don't know. Like I don't know why I feel that I need to do that, but interesting. So, Yeah, it's with my family more so than my friends. Like, they don't really get it as much.
So you get the same pressure with your family as well?
Yeah, more so from them. I don't know. Like, the other day, my friend sent me flowers, which was really nice. She's
That's nice.
I know you don't have time to hang out, and I'm sorry that I want to hang out with you all the time, but I know you're like really busy, so here's some flowers. Like, my parents don't really do that. They're just like more guilt trip, and I don't know, but it's like they don't come over to my house ever, and it's always me going to them, and it's like, well, I have more shit to do than you. I don't know.
So I guess, what are some of the ways that your parents kind of make you feel guilty?
Just asking why and saying like, oh, you got time for your friends and you'll go hang out with them, and I see you're hanging out with your sister on the weekends, but you don't come over to our house. Mostly my parents. And then I see my husband's parents a lot because they come over, like they're always making an effort to come to our house so that we don't have to travel out there, and they see that we're hanging out with them, and it's like, well, why aren't you hanging out with us? It's like, well, we've invited you, but you don't come out our way, and it's just a lot for us to have to travel to you all the time.
Right. So you feel like it'd be maybe a little bit easier if they made more of an effort to come to you instead of the other way around?
Yeah. I guess, I don't know, I just like, I guess it's me being stubborn sometimes, but also, like, why are you expecting something of me when you're reciprocating that?
Right.
So, that's kind of what's going on.
I can imagine that'd be difficult to try to find a good way to keep kind of everyone happy and keep the peace.
Yeah, I just don't know what there is to do. Like, I can't cut back on work just because I need the money, and it is good experience that I'm getting. And then, like, school, I have this need to get done. Like, I want to get done sooner than later. So cutting back the classes, like, I just always tell myself that's not an option. I'm gonna power through this, and I've worked over 60 hours while in school. Like, while I was in undergrad, I was in school full time, working full time. So it's like, I know I can manage it, but it's just being close to everybody. Like, I had friends in lacrosse, but I was able to say no more often because it wasn't like the friends that I grew up with had that really close connection to.
Okay.
I feel like maintaining the relationships here has been more important to me than the ones in lacrosse, because there I knew it was temporary. Like, I knew I was leaving. I wasn't as invested with those relationships as I am now.
Now you feel like you have to kind of keep that going and not obviously lose those connections.
Yeah, and I just don't want to upset them. Like, I don't want to feel like they're not important. Like, I don't. So it's more about me, like, putting school first, but them not feeling that they're not as important as school.
Okay.
Like, I just, like, don't know how to. I don't know. I'm struggling with it, I guess.
Yeah. And that, it seems like it's been pretty hard to figure that all out. And from what you said before that you had done it previously, are you kind of feeling like, oh, why can't I do this now?
Yeah.
Because you've already technically done it before?
Yeah, exactly. Like, why am I not managing it? Why is it so much more stressful than it was in the past? And I think about it, and I just, now my husband's kind of feeling that I'm that way now, like not giving him the attention. I think that's the hardest part for me, is having him confront it. And, now it's everybody confronting me about managing my time and giving them the time. So I think that's what has been impacting me the most and causing the most stress is his feelings towards it, and that's the last relationship I want to have affected by it.
Right. And were you guys together when you were in your undergrad, or?
So I met him here, and then he went to school in La Crosse, so we were a year apart, and then I moved up there, and he has given me a hard time. Like, he always tells me, you keep on taking on more, and we need to stop, and he tends to be my voice of reason, but I like to make my own decisions, and I listen, but I also keep going and end up taking on more. That's my work ethic. I just take on more with work and take on more with school just to see what I am capable of. I think I just try and push myself more and more to see where my breaking point is. Right. The way he sees it, I suppose, and I think sometimes he's right.
Is that how you see it as well?
Yeah, sometimes. Like, I don't, there's no intention to get to the breaking point. I just like to push myself further and further, and I need him to remind me, like, you're pushing yourself too far, and I don't know, I think he's feeling that right now, like, so it's hard for me to see him that way.
Right. So what kind of things do you tend to take on extra? What do you mean by that?
With work a lot, I'm always trying to go above and beyond and get more experience. So my last job, I loved that job, and I worked in a group home working with adults with disabilities. So I just wanted to get more experience, and I took on 2 extra jobs on top of that.
Oh, wow.
Within the same company, but it was a way for me to get more experience in doing assessments and doing case management. And it was a lot, and I was in school, but to me it was worth it. Like, if I didn't do that, then I wouldn't have the job that I have now. Because of those 3 months of a lot of extra work and me coming home crying, like, I got this job that I have now as a case manager, and I don't know, I'm always pushing myself to take on extra stuff to get more experience. So now, at the job I'm at now, I'm hourly, so I can't do, I don't get the opportunity to do extra stuff. So as a case manager, they can do therapy groups, but obviously I can't do therapy, but I took on a group, and just, I don't know why I did it.
And is it just, you said getting more experience?
Yeah.
Is that experience for your future career? Is that just experience for you?
It's like personal experience. I knew it was something that it's hard for me to speak publicly, and as much as I didn't want to do it, I was just speaking. It's like, oh, I'll do a group, because I know I need to push myself to do those things so that I'm more comfortable, and I hate it. I just go in there nervous, but I know that it's valuable for me later as over time, I'll be more comfortable with it. But it's adding a lot of time, and I'm taking homework. And I'm not supposed to because I'm hourly, so I'm working for free now, doing my notes at home. So it's just why do I put myself in this? I don't know.
And how often is that group?
It's once a week, but I have to prepare it's an hour long once a week, but I'm also learning about the group, so it's an anger management group, and I don't have as much experience. I can't do therapy with them, but it's like a teaching class, so I'm kind of learning the week before, and then I teach it. So I teach what I've learned, so I'm also learning about anger management on top of doing the group. So
right, and then kind of the struggle of working for free with that. It sounded like that'd be hard.
Yeah. So why am I doing this to myself? I don't know. I just always, that's just how I was raised, like to push and work hard, and I just like, it's almost like my resume, like I just keep wanting to put more on it, and I don't know, it's like ongoing for me. Just can't say no to things.
And do you want to say no, or is it just you feel like you have to, or?
I think it's like now I want to take it back and say I can't do this anymore, but I can't do that either.
Okay.
It's like I want to do it, but I just don't think about the time. I'm just like, oh yeah, I'll do more because it's valuable experience, but then it's like, well, I probably shouldn't have done that because I don't have the time.
Right. So it sounds like a good idea at first, and then when you really get into it, is where the struggle kind of comes from. Okay.
Yeah, it's just more and more I look back and regret taking on extra things. But I've always done that. I've always, like throughout undergrad, I had no less than 3 jobs at a time. So I don't know why. I don't know how I keep friends either. And I think that's where I'm struggling now. It's like I want to continue that same behavior because that's what has been valued. That's like where I hold my values, is that experience and always learning more and always pushing myself to those limits. And then I want to maintain those relationships and not sever any of them.
But still working with kind of the same amount of time, essentially.
Yeah. The only thing I haven't cut back on yet is sleep. So that's a
good thing.
Yeah. That'll come next, I'm sure.
So what would you say are some of the most important things for you?
I hate to say it, but work is like, my work in school is where I strive, and that's where I hold the highest value. And sometimes I struggle with that because I don't hold my relationships with people at the highest point, and I think some people would, or some people would look down on me for that, thinking that I don't value my friendships or my relationships as much as I do work. And I think my husband knows that, like, he's okay with that, just because he's known that's how I always am, but other people can't really come to terms with that as much as he can. And so it's always work, school, and relationships.
Kind of in that order?
I'd say so. But the thing is, like, my friendships and my relationships make me happier than my work at this point. I used to love my job, and now I don't as much as I did.
Why is that?
It was just, so the job that I had in lacrosse I loved. It was just the people I worked with, working with people with disabilities was just so rewarding for me. It was like a family, so I managed a group home, so it was like the same 4 guys, and it was like going home to my family, and like, I don't know, they missed me when I left, and they would look forward to me coming back, whereas now I'm dealing with crisis all the time, and my clients just like have no interest in us being there. Like, they are voluntary, but it's more about, pushing meds and making sure they're, working towards change, and they're very ambivalent at this point. So it's like feeling that the clients don't want me there sometimes is just harder, and it's rewarding, but it's not the same relationship that I had at the other job, and I just miss that relationship with the clients. I mean, some of the relationships are good, and I've built relationships with clients now, but it's just very different. High stress all the time, a lot of crises, and people that they want your help but also don't want it.
Okay.
Whereas my clients before, they wanted you around, they wanted your help, they were grateful for your help. And
So there it sounded like it was more collaborative, a bit more supportive than where you are now.
Yeah.
Was it the same amount of stress level, or?
No, I felt like going to work, I didn't dread it. It was just, I don't know, I could go to work and it would just be another motion, and it would be as much fun as I had at home. And now I just like dread going to work. It's stressful. It's also got a lot of structure problems, so it's not the best environment for learning,
Okay.
but it's valuable experience.
So you kind of almost feel like you have to stay there for the experience?
As much as I hate it, I'm learning so much about like the system of mental health, but the clients are just different. Like if I could go back to working with adults with disabilities, I would. I just now I don't have time to apply for jobs or even interviews. I'm just like not gonna wait till break to even apply for jobs, because I don't see myself staying there long term.
So it kind of seems like you feel a little bit stuck in where you are at right now because you don't have the time to devote to applying.
Yeah. I mean, the thought of quitting has crossed my mind a lot, and before it was, well, I just started so I can't quit yet, and 3 other people quit, so I'll feel guilty about quitting, and now we have a full team, and I wouldn't feel as guilty quitting, but I'm also realizing how much I've learned there, and
so it's kind of a struggle between what you want to do and what you should do almost.
Yeah. But it's like I could find experience somewhere else. I hate quitting and disappointing people and letting a team down that I've worked with for the last 6 months.
So you feel like you'd be letting the company down? Letting your team down?
Yeah. Well, no, they aren't as invested in me there. Like, it's not as much of a family as I felt at my last job. Like, they're very resistant to new people coming in, and they weren't really willing to teach. So, I don't know, it's just been hard, and I'm very self-driven there, and it's not real. Like, we're an ACT team, and it's supposed to work as a team, and they're just not, like, the 2 people that have been there the longest just aren't open to the team-based model, so it's been hard adjusting to that job, and I just always think back to it. I always compare it to my last job, and I'm constantly doing that.
And why did you end at your last job?
Because I moved back here. I planned on moving back here after undergrad. So that was always a plan, and then I moved back, and I'm just missing it.
So it wasn't really a position that you wanted to quit?
Yeah, I knew I wanted to move on from that position just because I had learned all I could learn there, but it was a company that I could have stayed with and moved up with, and they were willing to give me positions, but they knew I was leaving, so that kind of sucked, because about a year before I moved, they had case management positions open, and that's the field I want to eventually go back to, and I wanted to do case management really bad, and so the position was open, and I interviewed, and they're like, are you planning on staying with us? We know you want to go to grad school. And I'm like, well, I'm moving back in May. And I probably would have had 6 months there in that position. So they said they wanted somebody that would you know, you don't want a case manager to quit after 6 months, which makes sense, and that was fine. I understood. I don't know. I just wish I could have. And they did offer me like a temporary position to fill in before they hired somebody. So I did get that experience. I wish I could have stayed there. Like, I wish the company could have followed me here.
Yeah. So it almost sounds like you felt like it was the right position for what you were looking for as far as, you know, the team environment, that support, and then somewhere where you could really grow.
Yeah.
And you feel like you don't really have that with the company that you have now.
Right. It's just very impersonal. It's not a company I could see myself working for long term. I wanted it to be, but they just have a lot of work to do, and attitude that we had a lot of people quit since the time I started. Like 5 case managers that started around the same time or after me have already quit because the attitude is just so negative. It's so like when I started, it was like, are you gonna come back tomorrow? And it's just a bad attitude to set for new people. Like, why wouldn't I come back? Is there a reason I shouldn't come back? And that just kind of carries on every day, this attitude of, we all hate our jobs and this job sucks, so we hope you come back. It's like, well, that's good. That's a good attitude to have. And it's gotten better because we got a new supervisor, and I've kind of expressed my concerns about it, and it's just taking a lot of time, but I just miss that family and close-knit, collaborative work that I had at my last job.
Right. Do you feel like your concerns are being heard or not really within the company?
I think they're hearing it. It's just they don't know how to fix it. They have a few case managers, which is unusual for case managers to have people there for that long. It's typically people come in for their supervision hours and then they leave after 2 years. But there's a few that have been there and they kind of set the attitude. So they don't know how to do an attitude check with them. And they're coming to me for advice, and I'm like, why are you asking me on how to fix this? Because they know I have supervisor experience, and they're like, well, how would you make this more positive? I'm like, well, you can't change their attitudes. It's not my job to give you that advice. I feel like I don't feel right about it either. Like, marking on my coworkers.
So you kind of feel like they should be handling it instead of obviously bringing the problem to you?
Yeah, like I meet for supervision weekly, and a lot of my supervision time is spent, how can we fix this team, and what would you do? It's like, I can give you that input, but it's not my job to fix that. It's a lot of pressure to feel like, I don't know, it's on me to tell her everybody's flaws. And I don't want to be that person. I can tell her the attitude I'm feeling, but I don't want to tell her, like, oh, it's this person. And this person did this to make me feel that way.
And does that kind of go into, you know, making sure you keep people happy and things like that?
Yeah. It's always this constant need to please everybody and not confront. I mean, it took a lot for me to even bring it up that I was considering quitting because of the attitude. I don't know, it was really hard to even bring it up. So.
Can imagine.
Yeah. I don't know, it's just how do you fix it with people that have been there that long? And if you want them to change, they're going to leave, and you don't want to lose your best case managers. So I get that it's hard for them, but I don't know.
You're kind of feeling like they're not doing as much as they maybe could.
Yeah. I don't know, it's like there's no quick fix like I would want there to be, like because it is stressful to come into that environment every day. It's draining, and I know there's no quick fix, but we want one because it's unhealthy to have that environment.
To not want to come into work every day
Mm-hmm.
would be pretty, like you said, draining, and it's kind of exhausting to be in that environment and then have to go home and do everything that you have to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
And it sounds like you've really got quite a bit on your plate right now.
Yeah, and it's just how do I don't know, how do I find something to de-stress and manage it all? Like, what do I need to change? It's like my husband says, why don't you find a new job? And that's another added stress, is applying and going through the rejection, because that's inevitable when you're applying, and that's just a lot to handle too. And it's like, do I just keep going, or do I find something new? I don't know.
It's just another thing that you've got to put on your plate.
Yeah. But why not do it? Because I just always do that to myself.
But you did say that causes you obviously a lot of stress with taking on a lot.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of letting it go right now because it's just not good timing. But I'm always afraid of like reaching a breaking point. Like last week I had a really stressful day, and I don't know, I like thought I was reaching the breaking point. It's like I was like the next day I'm like, I gotta quit, and then it was better. Like I just like keep going through this cycle of I need to quit tomorrow. Like I'm not gonna go back. It was that bad, and it's so stressful. And then the next day it's like, all right, I can manage. Like,
what made that day so stressful?
We had a client pass away, so that kind of started the day heavy, and then I went to a client's house, and she was attacked by her boyfriend, and I tried all day to get her into other services and get her help, get her out of the house, bring her back to the office to see her doctor, and I'm waiting for her to see the doctor and to come back, and I find out she left. I'm like, what did you do that for? Like, I did all this to, like, I moved my entire day around. I was seeing 3 clients at the same time, and then I tried to get her in around seeing other clients. So I really was just like 5 places at once, and then she left. I was like, I feel completely helpless. Like, I tried everything I could. Like, I did my part, and then to find out she's going back to her boyfriend. Like, I don't know. It was just hard for me to think that I can't help everybody. Like, it was
kind of feeling almost that guilt that even though you did everything you could, it wasn't quite enough.
Right. Yeah, it was just hard, like, knowing that this is going to be something that I'll have to deal with, and seeing her was just, like, it was sad. Like, it was really sad to see her, and it was probably, like, one of the most difficult cases so far that I've had to deal with. Just knowing she's been through a lot of trauma and not being able to fix it for her.
Right.
Like, we as in this field, like, we want to help people, and like feeling like you can't help somebody even though you did everything you could, and you're not always going to help them. So that was hard, and I just was thinking, like, why do I can't go through this while I'm trying to focus on school. So I came home and just like broke down, And then, I don't know, I just wondered why I keep doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I just want a mindless job while I'm in school.
Mm-hmm. What would be like mindless to you?
I don't know, working as a receptionist or something. I don't want to do customer service though, because I hate that more than anything. But in a sense, I'm doing that right now because my clients really tell me like it is sometimes. But I don't know, I thought about just being a receptionist at a hospital. But like at the same time, I want to be getting experience. I don't want a mindless job because I'll feel like I'm wasting my time. So like I'm always trying to challenge myself. This job is challenging, really challenging, and I know if I can get through this, that I can handle a lot more later.
Mm-hmm.
But if I go to a job where I'm just a receptionist or something like that, like what good am I getting out of that besides money?
So it kind of almost sounds like you're trying to add a bunch on your plate just to see how much you really can handle.
Mm-hmm.
You have that guarantee that, hey, I can make it through in
Yeah.
the future. Does that seem correct?
Mm-hmm. And also making sure that, I'm able to get a job later. Like, I'm always trying to build this experience so that I have security in jobs later. And, I don't know, it's just always comes down to that. I, want to always have a secure job. And
is that something that worries you for the future?
yeah, sometimes. I always want to make more. I always want to do more and develop more. Like, I can't just have a job where I'm like at this homeostasis, I suppose. Like just going with the motions every day. So I always want to challenge myself to later have better job opportunities, I suppose.
Mm. And did you want to be a case manager or once you get out, or is there something else that you're looking to do after school?
Case management isn't my end goal, so I think case management experience is really hard and it helps people manage crisis, but eventually I want to do counseling, and I mean that's the end goal is counseling, but also doing more with that, I guess.
Okay.
So I don't know, like I know that there's more out there and trying to learn what would fit for me, because like I know I want to do counseling, but I want to do more on top of that.
Okay, like what?
I don't know. I think that's what I want to learn. Like right now is learning what fits well and what job I can do on top of that. See that like in the future, I always plan to be doing 500 things.
So this is kind of a pattern that you always see yourself as doing. You mentioned before that you had always been like that. So is that what you kind of thrive on?
I think so. I feel proud of myself when I'm doing more and challenging myself. Sorry. I don't know. I just value that in myself, I guess.
So what happens if you don't have that?
I question my worth, I think. I question myself a lot. I have self-doubts. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. I never really thought about that. like, what if I wasn't doing all these things?
Yeah, because it seems like from what you've brought up, you have placed such an emphasis on doing all those things, but at the same time, it's stressful.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of balance between all that.
Yeah. I guess I don't know what I would be like if I had one job, like one obligation that wasn't challenging me. I don't think I'd be happy with. I don't know. I think to be happy, I need the stress. Like.
Okay. There's kind of a good amount of chaos almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I feel like I'm worth something when I'm doing all that. Like, but it's also to be like, hey, I did this, everyone. I don't know. Like, I need the validation from other people too. I think like, oh, you did a lot. You work hard, and I don't know. I like hearing that.
It's a good thing to hear from people.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like my parents say they're proud of me, and then it comes back to, well, why don't you spend time with us? But in the long run, I think it's just like wanting to make them proud, and because like my dad was just he worked really hard, and like he didn't go to college, he didn't finish high school. So that's kind of like what he instilled in me is just you gotta work hard, and I think he doesn't like that I'm spending money on school. He doesn't think that's worth it. So I think taking on this extra stuff while I'm in school is like, well, I'm in school, but I'm also working really hard. So I think that's where it comes from.
So you're almost trying to validate, like, hey, while I am in school, that's not all I'm doing.
Yeah. Which I never really thought about before, but
Something to think about.
yeah.
Well, we are kind of wrapping up this session here today. Is there something that's on your mind before we wrapped up at all, or?
Not really. I'm just still trying to figure out how to balance my time and find more time. Like if I could get an extra day in the week.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
yeah. I think everyone wants that, but I don't know. It's like I don't know if I can make a sacrifice somewhere. I just need to keep powering through.
Yeah, it's hard.
Trying
to figure that out.
Yeah.
Well, that's where we can pick up next time as well. But it was very nice meeting you. And we'll be meeting here next week for about the same time, and we can definitely pick up on kind of that struggle again.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.